Today we're going to check out the new Sony Bravia Theater Quad surround sound setup. The Sony Quads were sent to me by Sony so I could bring you guys this review. If you want to pick these up, there will be some links down below in this video's description. Inside the box, we get the speaker stand hardware, an HDMI cable, 3.5mm auxiliary cable, the remote control, documentation, the control box, power adapter, batteries, power cords for the speakers, and 4 speakers. The system supports Dolby ATMOS, DTS-X, and IMAX Enhanced surround formats. Each speaker has 4 drivers, a tweeter, mid-range, woofer, and an up-firing driver for overhead effects. That's a total of 16 drivers between all 4 speakers. And aside from the power cord, there's a wireless connection between the speakers and the control box. As far as connections on the box, there's a single HDMI 2.1 in and out with 4K 120 and 8K support. There's a LAN connection and an S-Center output. To set the speakers up, you'll have to grab the included screws, grab 2 of the legs, put them on the bottom of the corner of each speaker, making sure that the flat side is pointing down, grab the speaker base and lay it on top of the legs, and use the screws to screw everything together. Be sure to take note that every speaker is labeled, which tells you exactly where to place your speakers in the room. Plug in the power cord and you're all set. I've got the left and right speakers to the sides of the TV, and the surround speakers are placed to the sides of the couch. To get the quads set up, you're going to have to download the Sony app. Once you get it downloaded and you open it up, you're going to be taken to the main apps page. If it doesn't automatically show up in your main home screen, you're going to have to click on Add Device, and it should pick up the quads automatically. Once the speakers are found, you're going to be taken to the home page. From here in the upper corner, you can either turn off the device. There are selection inputs. You have TV, HDMI, and Bluetooth. The next section here is your sound mode. We've got night mode. We've got sound field options, and then we've got your voice mode. There's a mute button, your main volume control. You can adjust the rear speaker level from a -10 all the way up to a +10. For bass level, you've got minimum, mid, and then max. The next option is viewing position. This is going to use the inbuilt microphone on your mobile device to take a measurement to see exactly where your seating position is and calibrate it based upon that. Here under wireless speaker settings, you can connect an additional subwoofer if you have an optional subwoofer. For wireless channel, if you are experiencing any skips or dropouts, you can change the channel on which the Wi-Fi is picking up. For wireless playback quality, you can choose between sound quality and a stable connection. Next option is sound settings. This again is the sound field optimization, which we'll come back and check out in a few. For sound field setting, you've got a few different presets here. We've got 360 spatial sound mapping. We've got Dolby speaker virtualization, and then DTS Neural X. For height of the sound field, we've got higher, default, and then lower. And this is going to change the perceived height effects in your room. Next option is IMAX Enhance. This will automatically adjust the sound to match the creator's intent when playing IMAX Enhanced content. This feature is available when rear speakers and a subwoofer is connected. The next option here is Acoustic Center. If you have a compatible Sony television set, you can use the TV's inbuilt speakers to augment the sound of the quads by using the TV as a center channel. Next option is the sound output check. This will play some test tones through the speakers. For DSEE Ultimate, this will upscale your compressed music accurately using AI technology. Audio DRC, this is audio dynamic range compression. You can either choose this between auto, on, or off. I would suggest leaving that off. For DTS dialogue control, if you are watching DTS material, you can adjust those settings there. We've got AV sync from 0 milliseconds up to 300 milliseconds. And then automatically adjust volume will minimize volume changes due to the input signal, so you don't have high peaks and low lows. This will keep it nice and stable. Under HDMI settings, we've got HDMI control. We've got auto off power link, so this will turn on and off once your TV turns on and off. That'll turn off the speakers. We've got standby through. You could turn this on auto, on or off, so if you want to use the TV without the speakers, you can change that. We've got EARC settings, HDMI format, we've got enhanced format, and then standard. So if you want enhanced up to 4K 120 or 8K, use the enhanced format there on the top. Then for video output, for picture-in-picture, you can turn this on or off if you have picture-in-picture built in your TV. And then for Bluetooth settings, we've got sound quality or priority on stable connection. For playback via Bluetooth, you can play back music to the quads using your mobile device such as an iPad, iPhone, or whatever you have over to the quads. Under system settings, we've got an auto standby, which will turn off the speakers after 20 minutes of inactivity, network Bluetooth standby, auto update. We've got the dimmer on the front of the device. We've got bright, dark, or you can turn it totally off. You can rename the speakers. We've got your system information and then software license information. Next, we are going to calibrate the speakers. Go under settings, go into sound settings, and then sound field optimization. This is only going to take about 2 or 3 minutes. Make sure you got your speakers all set up, click OK. Then it's going to ask you where the location is of your television set. It's either close to the left speaker, in the center between both speakers, or close to the right speaker. I've got mine dead center between both. Next, we're going to sit down at the MLP or the main listening position, click on Next, and then start the optimization. Once that's done, click on Next. Now it's going to measure the room's acoustics. If your microphone on your phone is located on the bottom of the phone, make sure you flip it upside down so that the microphone is pointing towards the television set. We're going to click on Next and make sure that your phone is pointed towards the TV. So this is going to measure the front 2 speakers. Once that is done, click on Next. Now we're going to take the phone and move it up to your face level. This is going to measure the back speakers. And that is it. Now it's going to go through a quick little sound demo. So that demo's pretty cool, so you should have heard a little swirling effect go around 360 degrees around your room. Now, one of the main features of this system is the 360 spatial sound mapping. I figured since I couldn't place the surround speakers behind my couch, it might make them sound more localizable since they're aiming straight at my head. But the 360 mapping technology did a really good job of creating a phantom rear soundstage, which made it so that the helicopter sounded as if it was flying behind my head. The Dolby Surround virtualizer made the surround speakers louder while also making them more localizable, collapsing the rear stage. Neural X was much more subtler than Dolby and also did a great job of creating that phantom image in the back of the room as well. I thought the soundstage was bigger with the Sony 360 mapping turned on, with both Dolby and DT Neural X processing sounding a bit smaller. As for the overhead effects, they sounded pretty convincing. Not as good as having real speakers mounted to your ceiling, but it's pretty close. The chopper sounded like it was coming right above the front speakers and actually flew down the side of the room to the back speakers. So as long as whatever you're watching has proper overhead audio in the mix, the quads should have no problem giving you that overhead sensation.
You're the walking corpse.
What do you mean?
You died, Norman, years ago.
You're insane.
God, I love it here.
You're the walking corpse.
What do you mean?
You died, Norman, years ago.
You're insane.
God, I love you.
This feature is a little hit and miss. If you have a compatible Sony TV, the Acoustic Center sync will use your TV's inbuilt speakers as a center channel. Otherwise, you're going to be relying on the phantom center image from the left and right speakers, meaning for the best center image possible, you'll have to sit right in the middle. I've got some pretty good distance between my couch and the front speakers, so I can be a little off center and still get a pretty good image. However, by using the Acoustic Center sync, it does help to anchor the dialogue right in the middle. Now, your experience may be better or worse depending on the model Sony TV that you're using. I've got this hooked up to a Sony X95K, which is a couple years old now, and this TV has speakers that fire out of the sides, so the sound isn't exactly coming from the screen, which can make the dialogue sound as if it's a little recessed or a little thin. I think if you are using one of the Sony OLEDs that projects sound directly from the screen, I would assume that that would sound more convincing as a center channel. So if you are using the quads with a Sony OLED, then leave me a comment and let me know what your experience is like. If you want to make the most of this system, you're gonna have to pick up one of their subwoofers. Without the sub, it's alright, but the bass response is kinda lacking. So if you want to not just hear the surround effects, but feel the surround effects, I would highly recommend that you add one of the Sony subwoofers. I paired it up with the Sony SW5, which you can do through the app really easily. And I tell you what, it is a night and day difference once you add that subwoofer in. The other feature that's in the app is the height adjustment option. This basically raises the volume of the up-firing speakers to make the overhead sound louder, which is supposed to make your room sound taller. I personally found it unnaturally loud, so I kept it right in the middle, which is the default, which I found to be the most balanced sounding. I know that it's a subjective thing, so you're gonna have to find out what works best for you. At the time of this video, the Sony Bravia Theater Quad is selling for $24.99. I think if you want to get that big surround sound without having to buy 16 speakers and a giant receiver, this is kind of a no-brainer. It's far better than any soundbar due to the channel separation, which will give you much better discrete audio. The only negative thing that I can see is that you do have to use the app to make any use of all the advanced options. So if you are not a tech-savvy person, this could be a deal breaker. With that said, I didn't have any issues with connectivity or any issues with usability. From an audio standpoint, this is about as good as it gets from an all-in-one surround sound speaker solution. It's small, it's svelte, it's easy to place in your room, it sounds a lot bigger than the size would lead you to believe, and it does a fantastic job of creating that bubble of immersive audio. Well, those are my thoughts on the Sony Quads. Have you heard them and how do you think they sound? Leave a comment and let me know. Thanks for watching, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next one.